How you going, brothers? And the occasional sister. You right, mate? Gary, look after your girlfriend, mate. Keep her in check, please. Keep an eye on her. What are you doing down there with that bloody dirty old ram there, Pace? You're waiting me for your dog tucker it for you, aren't you? Oh, Poe's eating the dags out of the sheep shit. That good, eh, Poe? That's going to go in my garden soon, that. I don't know where bloody nut's gone. Hard to walk anywhere with you between my legs. What are you staring at? You can come out of there, Pace. You can get out of there, mate. Just go underneath the fence. There you go. Easy. Very hard to park up and tell a story that you bastards crawling all over me. Come on, piss off. Bloody goats, they climb on everything. There you go, come on, bugger off. Rabbit just ran right out underneath my foot. It's gone up the farm now. Old Pace nearly caught that. Gone up the Pukeko. The old mate's now standing on this piece of wood here where I'm parked up. They just go everywhere, goats, don't they? Anyway, I want to tell you guys a yarn this morning. I'm trying to park up and get away from the critters, but they're all chasing me around everywhere. Look at this guy, look at his feet. They stand on nothing, goats. Bloody amazing, aren't they? Got a whole paddock and all the animals, they're all going to be at this end here. Oh, I see where you hang around, trying to find another bloody rabbit. You got Pace down here trying to get a bloody rabbit or a rat. I was hoping to kick into the guts of the story and park up here, but this guy's trying to eat me bloody pants and the other one's trying to eat me socks, so I'm going to bugger off and go somewhere else and stop chewing me pants. Right, we'll go somewhere else. Speaking of pants, I had this ad come up on my messenger for a pair of pants and it said sold in Wellington, and they look like a good pair of work pants. I thought I'll get those because it's close, it won't take long to arrive. Paid the money. 6 weeks later they arrived yesterday in the post, the wrong size, and one leg was shorter than the other. My son was laughing at it, and they didn't come from Wellington, they come from Hong Kong. There's a lot of advertising now going on your messenger. They put ads in there and it's bogus. Anyway, I was stupid, I got ripped off, but lesson learned. Right, I'm going to go and park up because I can't do anything. I've got this bloody goat everywhere I go. I need to go and find a place to park up and tell you a yarn. You just make life nearly impossible to walk around the farm there, Patch, honestly. Good boy, you're a good dog, you're well behaved. And no, you're not coming with me. Because I know you get into my bloody garden, you'd screw everything up. It's time to bugger off, actually. Come on, Poe. Come on, Pace. God, I know you can just about climb over that fence too, can't you, eh? Won't be too long. Stay there, behave yourself. Come on, Pace, let's go. Give you some dog tucker. We'll rip into this yarn. Good dog. Hey, Super Duck. Good dogs. You guys are out of luck today. Yeah, Poe, it's a little bit for you. Good girl. A little bit for you, mate. There we go. There you go, buddy. Sorry, Super Duck, you and your mates can bugger off. That's dog tucker and you're not getting any. We'll go down the cabin. What I would have given when I was a young fella to have a hut like this. So for this story, we're going to go, well, it's part 5 of Frosty the Pig Dog. And it's winter, July, going to August, and I've recently helped a friend out, Corinne, a girl I actually had quite big designs on, but she didn't like me back. She'd had this ex that was hanging around, Louis, and I pretty much got him onto pig hunting, and he became stoked with that, and that was a distraction. And my mate Barry and also Tish, they took him out hunting, and he sort of went off the scene. And then after that I tried to get close to Corinne, but she wasn't interested in me. I was punching way too high. Good try though. So it's August and it's cold, it's winter. I'm down in my hut again. I'm making a inaki out of willow branch, making round circles and long pieces and fix them together and using that to catch eel, multiple eel. And I'm camped down there one night and I was going through a bloody tough patch, and this guy, well dressed, come up to me, probably his 50s, mid 50s. In the evening he'd heard my harmonica playing, because the harmonica travels a long way on the wind. And he looked at my hut and he goes, "You living down here?" And I said, "No, I'm camping down here. I come down here sometimes." He goes, "Who made the hut?" I said, "I did." I said, "I come and I go. When I go, I take the tarpaulin, and when I come back, I just put it back up and there's a roof." He said, "Who made your clay fireplace?" I said, "I made that." He said, "It looks pretty ingenious." He said, "It's who made your little veranda and all your steps and everything around it?" I said, "I built the whole lot myself." He goes, "Really?" Because a lot of it was tied together with flax and that. And he goes, "That's really cool." He says, "You got much food?" And I said, "Well, actually, right now I don't have a lot. I've made this inaki and didn't catch anything tonight, but it will catch eel. And I've also made different things here for snaring different aquatic birds, the odd duck. There was a few pheasants hanging around, and get the odd vegetables." He goes, "Oh, okay." He says, "Well, nice harmonica music." He said, "I'm just camping up the river. We're leaving in the morning." I said, "Oh, yep." Didn't introduce himself, but if he did, I can't remember what his name was, and left. I went to bed. I was pretty depressed that night. I was having going through a bit of a bad patch, just struggling with a lot of stuff internally, I think, as a young fellow. I was only 16 years of age. Woke up in the morning and this guy's back again, and he's got a big bag. He said, look, we're leaving today. This is stuff we don't need anymore. I said, really? He said, yeah. I look in the bag and there's rashers of bacon, like packets of bacon, which I just didn't have anything of. Vegetables and fruit and bread and you name it, all the stuff you take camping. Ramen noodles and lots of stuff that I could use. And also a flashlight, a little torch, a little pen torch about that big. He says, it's yours, kid. So I was on my luck. I was good. That evening, I get a visitor. A guy you guys, if you're following the story, know well. Mal, he'd just come back, showed up out of nowhere. And he said, hey, I need a favour from you. I said, what's that? He said, I need you to look after a dog and also I need you to look after a young fella called Keith. I said, oh, yep. He said, Keith is from the North Island. He works for me. I've got to get back to Aussie for a while. I want you to help Keith get on his feet while he's here. I said, where's he staying right now? He said, well, he's with me, but I want you to find a place for him. I said, well, I'm living down by the river. I don't know what I can do. He said, you know everybody. He said, I'll look after you. And one thing Mel always did, that he looked after me. The other thing that Mel always did was he never ever did business deals himself. He always got either me to go to a drop-off pickup zone if it was some sort of shady deal he was doing. We had 3 women that worked for him down River Road. They would do that, but he himself never fronted anything. And the rule was, if you got caught, you didn't know who he was, but he would look after you. So you got paid well. It was a high-risk job. Probably why he never got caught in New Zealand, but he did get caught in Australia. He got caught for tax evasion. I learnt that years later when I heard from one of his sons, and that was probably what was his downfall, was he didn't pay his taxes. And that's how they caught him, and he did a stretch. So I said, well, this young fellow, what's the story? How am I going to meet him, and where is he? He said, I'm going to take you down to the Resurgence tomorrow. I've got to meet someone else down there. The Resurgence was over in Rewalker. We'll go down to the Resurgence, and he's going to meet us there around 3 o'clock. He said, so I'll pick you up here at 2. So 2 o'clock, next day, come round. He had this ute. He'd traded in his... prior to the ute, he used to have an alloy-bodied Jeep, fold-down top Jeep. But when it was mashed, but he got a Holden Kingswood after that with the 202 and the canopy. Come the next morning, pick me up, and we drive out to the Resurgence, wait there, there's nobody there. Eventually this little Morris Minor turns up, like a 1950s Morris Minor, and this kid that's about my age, about 16 years of age, scraggly hair, very, very well built, like strong, tall, big nose, big jaw, probably not the prettiest guy you saw, but a guy that you wouldn't fuck with him, mate. Like he looked like he'd handle himself. He had big square shoulders. And Mel goes, this is Keith, and introduced me to him. Would you introduce each other? And then he says, right, I'll love you and I'll leave you. Look after the dog. I said, what about dog biscuits? He said, in the back of the truck. So there's a whole bag in the back of the truck there. And in the back of the truck, there wasn't that bags, just bags of dog biscuits, it was bags of everything, if you know what I mean. Took that out, put that in the Morris Minor, and we headed back to my hut. And not a word said from Keith on the way back. Nothing at all. That evening I cooked a meal, and I said to him, do you like the idea of going for a hunt? And it's the first time he spoke to me, like everything was just a grunt or a nod. He went, yeah. And I said, you've been hunting before? And he goes, nah. I said, well, I'll tell you what, tomorrow morning, we'll get up early and we'll go for a hunt up the Graham Valley. Because this guy's got a car. I didn't have a car. I said, I'll pay you for the gas. He goes, okay. He didn't have a knife or anything. Next morning we get up like super dark after a pretty average night's sleep. It was funny because in the night I wasn't that comfortable because he just gave me a weird feeling because he just didn't talk. You didn't know what was going on. You couldn't read the guy. Next morning get up super early. We're up the Graham Valley. And Frosty the Pig Dog, who by now has gone from a shit pig dog to a pretty good pig dog, mainly because I'm getting onto quite a few pigs. We go up the valley and we have a crap hunt, get a little shitter pig that we never found, squealed, and come out of the hunt. We're coming out of the hunt and it was like, oh, yep, it's probably about midday and we've really given it a good thrash. Normally we get a pig, this one we didn't. So we go down to the valley and I said to him, I'll tell you what, we'll go around to the Pierce Valley because there's a place up there that's quite good for a pig. And it's winter time and Frosty's, he's got some hunt left in him. The guy was dead keen. He goes, yeah. So we go around there and we're going up the track up to where the river is up there. And we didn't even get the dog out of the truck. And you got to remember, we have no tracking gear in these days. And we had the window down and I was sitting in the passenger seat, and Keith is driving this little Morris Minor up this, and it was a 4-wheel drive track. We shouldn't have been on it. And it's bump, 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 and it's cold. Frosty's winding, so I wound my window down, and he put his nose up in the car, and he just went shung, jumped straight across me, and put his back legs and catapulted off my shoulder out the side. He went running up the track like full speed, and I just went, just stop here, mate. And we waited, and then he came running straight back, like going behind us. So he'd gone up, he'd gone the wrong way, and he went back, and then he peeled up the back behind us, and I got out, and I went to Keith. I went, shh, don't say anything, mate. Not that I had to worry, because Keith didn't make any noise, and we're out there waiting, we're listening, because you don't have any tracking gear. We're just listening, and then we hear like he's holding onto something, and it sounds like a sow. Sure enough, it's a bloody sow, right? Starts to squeal, and then you hear Frosty holding it and scoffing all down the bank, and it's coming down the bank slower and slower. Keith's just standing there really nonchalant. Like, he doesn't look like he's hyped up or anything, and I'm getting like, this is a good pig, mate. He's like, And he hasn't been hunting before, so he doesn't know what to expect. And all I'd said to him was, I had given him no lesson, and I said, don't take your knife out until you've got the back legs. It's the only thing I'd said to him. And he actually didn't have a knife. I just said that to him on the car. I was just like saying the only thing up there. I wasn't saying anything about being quiet. And this pig's coming down the bank towards us. And I'm thinking, shit, this is going to be a good pig. There's bits of trees lying over and bushes going over. And it's quite a steep bank. And then next minute you see the pig on the edge, and Frosty, who's on the bloody nose of the pig, like, so he's going to be the first over, and the pig's pushing Frosty off, and it's got the brakes on, and now Frosty's dangling over the bank, and it's a fucking big drop, and the pig's like trying to pull, like shake Frosty off. Frosty ain't letting go, and Frosty's like kicking the bank, like pulling the pig down. The pig's getting closer and closer, and suddenly the whole lot comes right over, only like 20 metres from us, falls down, and Keith, who's been standing there completely like nonchalant, nothing, suddenly he's like, chung, straight away grabbing a back leg each. He's got the pig contained, he's holding it, and he just goes, knife. And I'm like, shit, this guy's never hunted before, come on. I went up there and I said, can you flip it? He goes, yeah, yep. Flips it perfectly like it was nothing. It's a big pig. Flip it over, get the knife, and basically a perfect textbook hunt, everything right. I whipped the guts out and I said, have you done pig hunting before, mate? He goes, never. I said, well, you did bloody well, man. We go home, and it's like probably quite late, probably like close to 4 o'clock, and he's absolutely amped, and we've got this big pig. We get it home, and I skin it. I had a different method of skinning to what I use today, reasonably fast, but not as fast as I'm today. Skinned it. He watched me skinned it. He was asking lots of questions, didn't do anything, and we got this hung up. Now, we used to trade meat, and people down by the river. There wasn't many people squatting down there at this stage. There was only like a house bus that had been there all year, and a couple of hippies, so there wasn't many people to trade it to. But we took some meat to different people, and we hung the rest in my safe. Down at the Motueka River, there used to be a lot of whitebaiters, and I'd scored this net, a big whitebait net. But what I used it for was for a meat safe, because you could put your meat inside it, and you could cover the end up, and the flies wouldn't get in, so your meat didn't get blown. In the winter, you could hang meat for days in there. And so I had this thing propped up on a tree with a hook, and we cut all the meat up into quarters, and we hung it in there after we'd given away what we weren't keeping for ourselves. And we ate well. The following morning, next morning, Keith was like shaking me, saying, come on, we're going hunting again. And this is something I said, bro, we've got enough meat. He says, no, I want to hunt again. I said, we don't need the meat, bro. He says, I know someone that will take it, and I can make something good happen with it. I said, all right, I'm keen. So back up the Graham again, because we'd crapped out the day before. Back up the Graham, and I thought we'll go somewhere different. In those days, there's not a lot of pig hunters around. We pretty much got the run of the roost of these places. There's private land up there, but there's also a lot of dock land you can get onto, and most of it was dock land we're hunting. We go up the Graham, and we cross right over. We come back down, was it Field Creek? I think it might have been, can't remember now, a long time ago. And we're quite far from his little Morris Minor if we did catch something, but we caught something all right. We're looking up with some goats on this crossing, because Frosty was going up to where they were, and we're watching these goats, and we can see where there's a bit of a clearing there, and I said, bloody goats, and Frosty's going up there, and Keith is just like going, yep, watching the wind's perfect. And then we see this pig run right across the face. The goat started running first, and this pig going across it, and Frosty's right on its ass, and he's like, no noise at all, no yep, 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 nothing at all. And they do a big circle, and they come right around us, in front of us, like in the bush. You could see different Frosty for a minute, and then we lost sight, and then ended up down below us where there was some punga. and a big squeal and then a big bail. And I couldn't keep up with Keith going down the bush, man. And he didn't have a knife. And I was like, just listening to the bark. And he's still going down. He still hasn't got a knife on his hip. And he's way ahead of me. And I hear that bark, bark, bark. And then I hear like, where are ya? Where are ya? And I can hear him screaming. He's way down. He's got way down in front of me. And I'm like sprinting as fast. And I'm fast, but he's like super fast. I get down there in the creek now, dropping the pungas into the creek below. And here he is with his bloody boar still holding the back legs. And he's got big, strong arms. He's holding this thing like, come on, man, come on. I'm like, get down there and trying to get a knife into this pig, which is like watching me and watching the dog. I've already got one dog on it. The Keith is hanging on for dear life. And he's trying to flip it in the creek and he can't. It's a bloody big pig. I ended up getting it side stuck beside him and then wrestling the pig down on the ground. And we're both on the ground there, and he goes, you're a bit slow, aren't you? I was like, well, I didn't think I was until I went hunting with you. He's like, yep. And he goes, give me a knife. So I gave him a knife, and I watched him drop the guts out. I hadn't showed him anything at all. He's like, naturally took the guts out. I did the arsehole for him in the throat, and tied it up like I showed him to the day before. Got her on his back, and I said, right, we'll got a bit of a hard carry, Brett. He goes, I'm right. And he went up this bank, and I'm like struggling to keep up with him. This is a fucking big pig. This is not a small pig. This is like a easy 150, like a big boar. We had a lot of big boars in those days, and I couldn't keep up with him. He's going up this bank like no noise at all. And I said, stop, bro. I'll take a carry. He goes, I'm good. He didn't want me to carry at all. And I was like, bro, you need to have a break. He says, no, I'm good. He went all the way back. He just put his head down and all the way back. We got back to the Morris Minor, and I was tired trying to keep up with him. And I realised now that Keith wasn't your normal bloke. For a bloke that said no words, he was incredibly bloody strong. He was fucking strong. He put it down, and he said, I want this one. I said, you've earned this pig, bro. You can have it. He said, I want this. I said, okay. So we got the pig in the back, tied it up across the back of the Maury, which is fucking funny if you can imagine what that looked like. And he goes, we're going to go up to the Brooklyn Valley. And I said, oh, yep. He says, there's a guy up there I want to see. So we go up there, and there's this guy called Moy. He's a big Māori guy, a really big guy, and he's gang affiliated. And Keith goes, this big pig, and he lifts it up, and he goes over to Moy, and goes, bro. And Moy doesn't say anything either. He just puts his head up and pats him on the shoulder. And Keith says, let's go. I said, well, you didn't get anything back for that. You just gave it to him, and you said you were going to trade it. He says, don't worry. 3 days later, we're in my hut, and this V8 comes down by the river where we were staying. We were poaching trout at the time. Because a big Chevrolet Impala pulls up, and it's pretty like low to the ground there. It's not ideal for his car. And here's Moy, this great big fat Māori guy in the front. He's sitting in there, and there's one guy in the back and one guy in the front. These guys got facial tattoos. And in the vehicle, and Moy goes to Keith, in. Keith goes, I'll catch you later, bro, to me, and jumps in the back. That night there, I haven't heard anything or seen anything. That night then, he comes back. He goes, bro, I'm sorted. The lads have got me a place. The deal is we've got to give them one pig a week. That's all we're going to do for rent. I said, where is this place? He goes, up the Brooklyn Valley. I said, I know where that is. So we're heading up to Brooklyn. And the next morning, we're going up there in this little Maury Minor, and here's this little hut. It's a bloody cool little hut. It's got a hot water tank. It's got like a cylinder. It's got electricity. It's got running water. It's got 2 little rooms, and I'm allowed to stay there too. Although I didn't stay there that much. The only time there were times I'd stay there for a period of time, but it wasn't a place I was calling home. I was still living down by the river. Anyway, we hunted all the time. And these guys that were gang affiliated, I don't know if it was Mongrel Mob or Black Power or what it was. I don't know. It was just a New Zealand gang. But we kept them in pork, and the accommodation was paid for, and we got a lot of other stuff too. And that was our survival. Now, Keith and I, we never became really good friends because you couldn't have a conversation with the man. You couldn't talk to him about anything. He sort of grunted, and he was a great guy to take hunting, and he always did more than his share of work, but he never ever could, you couldn't get to find out who he was because he'd never talk about anything. He was real quiet. All I know is a strong bastard, and when Mel eventually came back, Mel said to me, how'd you get on with Keith? And I said, well, mate, he's the best guy I've ever hunted with. And Mel said to me, he's the best at everything he does. He's got a natural ability with machinery. He's got a natural ability with learning how to do stuff. He's highly coordinated, and he's strong, and he's the best fighter that I've got working for me. I said, oh, well, I'm just blown away with how his hunting was. He wouldn't let me do bugger all. By the end of it, Keith could hunt better than anybody I know. He'd do everything himself and didn't need my help. Now, Moy had a English Bull Terrier cross greyhound, which eventually we hunted with Frosty. And so this dog started off a pretty average, scragged a few goats and started off. But this dog set in concrete for me what I always wanted for a dog in the future. And when we parted company, that dog could catch a pig by itself without Frosty. And years later, many years later, when I came back to New Zealand after I'd been touring in Europe, I was about 40, I think, and I looked for a dog of that breed again. I found one in the Trade Me, and it was two lesbians living in Wellington that had adopted this little puppy from a rescue centre, only to find out it wanted to kill all neighbours' cats and they couldn't handle it. And they cut its balls off. It was called Chun Chun. So he became my pig dog, and if you look at the Clay Tool Stories channel, you'll see the first video ever, or the first hunting video, is Chun Chun swinging off the nose of a 100-pound boar mill-arm, 100-pound boar with 3-inch tusks. And the way that I got that dog going was going back up the old place where I'd been, back up the Pierce. As it turned out, it chased ghosts and it barked too much, so I decided to get rid of it. So I took a photo with a tennis ball on the front lawn and stuck it in the local shop in Mapur at the Foursquare. And this Japanese girl, she saw it and she went home and told her mother. They'd come from Japan because they wanted a dog. And her mother, she called me up and she said, is that dog to give away to a home? I said, it is. So I gave it to her, and she called me periodically and asked me to help her with training with stuff and that, and I did, and I got to have a relationship with her, and she was my girlfriend for many years afterwards, not so long ago. I loved her very, very much. That's probably a story for another day, maybe. Anyway, after all that, I took Frosty and I went to Wellington, to the big city with Frosty, and there's a story for another day. Hey bros, hope you enjoyed the story. I hope you're enjoying Christmas right now and you've got friends and family and loved ones around you. Go steady. If you know a brother that's struggling with anything, take him for a hunt or take him for a fish or do something. It makes a big difference. And we'll catch you in the Brocheck Club very soon for another yarn or something. Okay, see you later.